Sure, Prabhu. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna everybody. We'll start reading from Madhya Lila chapter 5, text 1 to 34. Text 1. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of God, Brahmanadeva, who appeared as Sakshi Gopal to benefit a Brahmana. For 100 years, he traveled through the country, walking on his own legs. Thus, his activities are wonderful. Text 2. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 3. Walking and walking, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his party finally arrived in Yajapur on the river Vaitarani. There he saw the temple of Varahadev and offered his obeisances unto him. Text 4. In the temple of Varahadev, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing, offered prayers. He passed that night in the temple. Text 5. Afterwards, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the town of Kataka to see the temple of the witness Gopal. When he saw the deity of Gopala, he was very much pleased by his beauty. Text 6. While there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu engaged in chanting and dancing for some time, and being overwhelmed, he offered many prayers to Gopala. Text 7. That night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in the temple of Gopala, and along with all the devotees, he heard the narration of the witness Gopala with great pleasure. Text 8. Previously, when Nityanand Prabhu had toured all over India to see different places of pilgrimage, he also had come to see Sakshi Gopal of Kataka. Text 9. At that time, Nityanand Prabhu had heard the story of Sakshi Gopal from the townspeople. He now recited this again, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration with great pleasure. Text 10. Formerly at Vidyanagar in South India, they were two Brahmanas who made a long tour to see different places of pilgrimage. Text 11. First of all, they visited Gaya, then Kashi, then Prayag. Finally, with great pleasure, they came to Mathura. Text 12. After reaching Mathura, they started visiting the different forests of Vrindavan and came to Govardhan Hill. They visited all 12 forests, vanas, and at last came to the town of Vrindavan. Text 13. In the village of Panchakroshi, Vrindavan, at the site where Govind the temple is now situated, there was a great temple where gorgeous worship of Gopala was performed. Text 14. After taking baths at different bathing places along the river Yamuna, such as Keshi Ghat and Kalia Ghat, the pilgrims visited the temple of Gopala. Afterwards, they took rest in that temple. Text 15. The beauty of Gopala deity stole away their minds, and feeling great happiness, they remained there for 2 or 4 days. Text 16. One of the two Brahmanas was an old man, and the other was young. The young man was assisting the old one. Text 17. Indeed, the young Brahmana always rendered service to the older one, and the old man, being very satisfied with his service, was pleased with him. Text 18. The older man told the younger, "You have rendered various types of services to me. You have assisted me in traveling to all these places of pilgrimage. Text 19. Even my own son does not render such service. By your mercy, I did not become fatigued while on this tour. Text 20. If I did not show you any respect, I would be ungrateful. Therefore, I promise to give you my daughter in charity. Text 21. The younger Brahmana replied, My dear sir, please hear me. You are saying something very unusual. Such a thing never happens. Text 22. You are a most aristocratic family man, well educated and very rich. I am not at all aristocratic, and I am without a decent education and have no wealth. Text 23. Sir, I am not a suitable bridegroom for your daughter. I render service to you only for the satisfaction of Krishna. Text 24. Lord Krishna is very much pleased by service rendered to Brahmanas, and when the Lord is pleased, the opulence of one's devotional service increases. Text 25. The older Brahmana replied, My dear boy, do not doubt me. I will give you my daughter in charity. I have already decided this. Text 26. The young Brahmana said, You have a wife and sons, and you have a large circle of relatives and friends. Text 27. Without the consent of all your friends and relatives, it is not possible to give me your daughter in charity. Just consider the story of Queen Rukmini and her father Bhishmaka. Text 28. King Bhishmaka wanted to give his daughter Rukmini in charity to Krishna, but Rukmi, his eldest son, objected. Therefore, he could not carry out his decision. Text 29. The elder Brahmana said, My daughter is my own property. If I choose to give my property to someone, who has the power to stop me? Text 30. My dear boy, I will give my daughter to you in charity, and I will neglect the position of all others. Don't doubt me in this regard. Just accept my proposal. Text 31. The younger Brahmana replied, If you have decided to give your daughter to me, then say so before the Gopal deity. Text 32. Coming before Gopala, the elder Brahmana said, My dear Lord, please witness that I have given my daughter to this boy. Text 33. Then the younger Brahmana addressed the deity, saying, My dear Lord, you are my witness. I shall call for you to testify if it is necessary later on. Text 34. After these talks, the two Brahmanas started from home. As usual, the young Brahmana accompanied the elderly Brahmana as if the older Brahmana were a guru, spiritual master, and rendered him service in various ways. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Madhya. Hare Krishna. So it's a beautiful pastime. Let me go through. So what we are hearing in this pastime, just before this pastime, we heard about the pastime of at the Remuna temple, Sirachura Gopinath pastime, specifically glories of Sri Madhavendra Puri and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ecstatic symptoms and his love for his devotees. That's what we heard in the last chapter. Now, the overall context was Lord Chaitanya was traveling from Shantipura after staying at Advaita Acharya's home. He was going towards Vrindavana. That was the overall travel of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So while traveling, he stopped at Remuna and then is proceeding further now. That's what we heard from the last chapter. Let's go to this chapter. It's a beautiful pastime. I don't know you heard this, but there's a beautiful CD. I had my children used to hear over and over again when they're children. It's a nice CD. When I'm reading these translations, the CD was true, so true to the Chaitanya Charitamrita pastime. Many of the dialogues are exactly like this also. So I was remembering that. It's a nice pastime. Let us go through it. Basically, Krishnadas Goswami, Kaviraj Goswami is offering his obeisances. First, saying that, and if you notice, one thing, many chapters of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, what is common is the first verse is usually summary of the whole chapter. Amazingly, He has the capacity to summarize the whole chapter in one single verse like that. What is he saying? I offer my obeisances unto Krishna. So Brahmani Deva, who appeared as Sakshi Gopala to benefit a Brahmana. For 100 days, he traveled through the country. Who traveled through the country? Sakshi Gopal DT, walking on his own legs. Thus, his activities are wonderful. So he's summarizing the whole pastime of Sakshi Gopal. I heard in the childhood, I used to hear that Lord Ramayana also, we can say, Rama got married, Sita left, and Sita was taken away, and Rama killed Ravana and got Sita like that. So similarly, it's a very simple way he's summarizing it. Now we'll detail the rest of the chapter with beautiful detail. So now this is a verse that we recited every day. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So meaning is that we are offering glories to Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, and all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So now is describing, continue to describe how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was traveling towards Vrindavana by walk, is walking and walking. And you notice one common theme of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even while walking, while he's traveling, what is he doing? He is chanting and dancing and offering prayers. Oh, sorry, this one. Let me wherever me. Okay, that is the next theme I'll tell you about. Okay, even in the walking also, later it will come, not in this verse. Later it comes throughout the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Whenever he's walking also, he used to dance and sing about Krishna's holy names and things. We commonly hear Krishna, 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 hey. That's coming from that only. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while traveling, he sings that songs like that. It seems to glorify Krishna's holy name, basically. So now, if they while he's going, he went to along with some devotees. So they arrived at Yajapura, which is on the bank river of Vaitarini. And then there the temple of Varahadev is there. So now he offered obeisances to Varahadev deity there. Now what I was about to tell earlier is coming here. Basically in the temple of Varahadev, what did he do? He engaged in chanting and dancing, Sankirtan basically. And he offered prayers. This is a common theme we'll see when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes to another deities also. Same thing, chanting, dancing and offering prayers basically. And then he also described that he passed the night at the temple like that. Let me go back on my book so that I can watch out when there is a purport. I will share with you what is the purport. Okay, there are no purports till 9th verse. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later on, after visiting this Varahadev temple, he went to a town of Kataka, it seems, to where he wanted to see the Sakshi Gopal temple. Sakshi means witness. And when he saw the deity of Gopal, he was very, very pleased by seeing the beauty of the deity, it seems. Then again, what did he do when he saw at the temple? He engaged in chanting and dancing for some time. And then, being overwhelmed, he offered many prayers to Gopal, it seems. So that's what he did. Now, text 7. And that night also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in the Gopal temple, it seems. And then what did he do? During the night time, he heard the pastime of the temple, local deity, Gopal deity. And with great pleasure, he was hearing Krishna Katha. That's a common thing that devotees do. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also showing by his example. So, Shavanam, Kirtanam primarily. So, chanting and dancing, and then now hearing Krishna Katha. So remember, Nityananda Prabhu was older to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Gaur Lila. And then what he used to do was, Nityananda Prabhu traveled all over India in pilgrimage places, especially with the sannyasi. Also, he went when he was child. We probably heard the past time, and Nityananda Prabhu Parents Day also. So he already came earlier. Nityananda Prabhu already came earlier to see Sakshi Gopal deity, it seems. That time the deity was at Kataka. 1 minute. That time the deity was at Kataka. And then Nityananda Prabhu, when he was visiting that time in the previous visit, he heard the story of Sakshi Gopal, it seems, from the town people. And then he recited the same pastime again for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pleasure. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the narration with great pleasure. So in the text 9, It is a purport. Essentially, the geography is described briefly, which is that the Sakshi Gopal temple is between Bhubaneswara, uh, Kurda Road Junction railway station and Jagannathpuri station, it seems, in between that. Earlier, it used to be at a Kataka, it seems. Then later, the DT was moved to. Oh, I thought I saw something. Yeah. Later on, the DT was moved to this place, Jagannathpuri, it seems. Jagannathpuri. And then in the purport is written that there was transcendental disagreement between Jagannath Didi and Sakshi Gopal Didi. And then this is called Prema Kalaha, quarrel of love, it seems. So to settle this love quarrel, the king of Orissa at that time constructed a temple about 11 miles from Jagannathpuri, it seems. The village was called Satyavadi, it seems. And Gopal was there. Now there is Sakshi Gopal station also is there, it seems. So basically the village is called Satyavadi. Interestingly, Satya means truth, right? One who speaks truth, Satyavadi. So that description is given, some historical and geographical details are given in text 9, basically purport. So now, Lord Chaitanya is here in the past time from Nityananda Prabhu. Now the past time starts from here. Formerly, at Vidyanagara in South India, there were two Brahmanas. Later we'll find out that one of the Brahmanas was older, one of the Brahmanas was young, like that. And who made a long tour to see different places of pilgrimage. So next verse gives us some other place of pilgrimage they went. They went to Gaya first, then Kasi or Varanasi, then they went to Prayaga, and then finally with great pleasure they came to Madura, it seems. So then after reaching Madura, they visited all of different forests in Vrindavan and came to Govardhan Hill also. Then after visiting all the 12 forests of Vrindavan, they at last came to the town of Vrindavan. So this verse is purport. Essentially, Sri Prabhupada is writing the different names of the forests, 12 forests in Vrindavan. Essentially, on the eastern side of the bank of the river Yamuna, there are 5 forests, it seems. The names Prabhupada gives here are Bhadra, Bilva, Loha, Bandira, and Mahavana. These are the 5 forests on the eastern side of Yamuna. And on the western side of the Yamuna are Madhu. Madhu means, like this is saying, means Madhuvana, like that. Tala means Talavana. Kumuda, Bahula, Kamya, Kadira, and Vrindavana, it seems. Those are the 7 forests on the western side of the river Yamuna. And then after visiting all these places, then they went to a place called Panchakroshi Vrindavan, it seems. Actually, Prabhupada explains in the 12th verse purport itself about that also. Basically, Vrindavan forest goes from Vrindavan town, it seems, to Nandagrama and Varsana. So it's a distance of about 32 miles. So in that 32 miles distance, Panchakroshi Vrindavan also is there, it seems. That's how Prabhupada is writing in the purport for 12th verse. So basically, the Govinda DT, Govinda temple currently now wherever it is there, Radha Govinda temple, that Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, all these Goswamis used to worship, especially his Rupa Goswami's deity is described Radha Govinda. So, so there is a great temple where gorgeous worship of Gopala was performed. So the Sakshi Gopala is like a flashback, meaning olden days. Gopal Didi was originally in Vrindavan. That's what is being described here. Panchakroshi Vrindavan, that area. It's very close to Radha Govinda temple at that time, it seems. Now, text 14. So these two Brahmanas, they took bath at different ghats, it seems, along the river Yamuna, like Kesi Gata, Kaliya Gata, and then they took rest in that temple, the Gopal temple, it seems. They came to Gopal temple and took rest at the temple, it seems. So text 15, yeah, the Gopal Didi was so beautiful. Their minds were stolen away. They're feeling great happiness, it seems. So they remained there for 2 or 4 days, it seems, at that place, so taking darshan of the Gopal Didi every day. Then now is describing, Krishna's Karadu Goswami is describing that one of the 2 brahmanas was old man and another was young. The young man was assisting the old one. Text 17. Indeed, a young Brahmana always rendered service to the older one, it seems. And the old man, being very satisfied with his service, was pleased with him. See, the lesson to learn here is, if you want to please someone, we can satisfy them with our service. Then that's how we can please them. Like our spiritual master, Vaishnavas, if you want to please them, we satisfy them by our service like that. That's how they can be pleased. Now, text 18. The older man, because he's satisfied and pleased with the young man, the old man told like this: you have rendered various steps of service to me. You assisted me in traveling to all these places of pilgrimage. Of course, old people need some assistance, right? Sometimes they cannot carry all the things that they're supposed to carry. Sometimes they need rest in between, like that, right? Commonly, we all know also, whenever we going with old people, we need to take care of them. So now, text 19 says, even my own son doesn't render such service to me. By your mercy, I did not become fatigued while on this story saying. So that means this is an older man talking to older Brahmana talking to younger Brahmana. And he's saying, if I did not show you any respect, for what? For the respect that he has done so much service, I would be ungrateful. This is a sign of grateful heart also. When you have a grateful heart, whenever somebody does a service to us, we'll feel really grateful in our heart. And when we're grateful in the heart, it actually comes out also. So with gratitude, similarly, when we receive something from a spiritual master or acharyas, we need to develop gratitude for them. Then when we have the gratitude in the heart, we want to do something for the spiritual master like that. So then, therefore, I promise to give you my daughter in charity. So he wanted to give something valuable. He thought, okay, let me give my daughter in charity, like that he said. So Prabhupada explains this in a coming up purport. No, so the younger Brahmana replied, my dear sir, please hear me. You're saying something very unusual. Such a thing never happens. Like that. Unusual word is the verse is called asambhava, unlikely. Like that is translated. Uh, what is this? You're saying that you're giving your daughter to me is very unlikely, unusual thing you're talking like that. So now, why is it unusual? Why is it unlikely? He's explaining. The younger Brahmana is explaining. He's saying, you are a most aristocratic family man. That means you're born in a very aristocratic family. And then you're well educated. And then very rich also. I am not at all aristocratic. That means his birth was not like that. I am without a decent education also. And have no wealth also. So on all three counts, it is not a real match to her. His daughter is saying basically. We'll read a couple of verses, one more verse, and then I'll come back to purport of stone second. He's saying, sir, I'm not a suitable bridegroom for your daughter. I render service to you only for the satisfaction of Krishna. So there are a few things we can discuss because there are two beautiful purports in this section for 22nd and 23rd verse. We'll go back to 22nd now. So Prabhupada explains, a couple of points in the purport. One is the theme that um, when somebody is born in an aristocratic family, or somebody is well educated now, somebody is very beautiful now, so somebody is very rich now, that means they have some past pious activities they have done in the past life. That is one principle Prabhupada is sharing in the purport. So now, second principle Prabhupada is sharing is, it's not principle, second practice, social practice, a traditional practice in the India is describing is, normally a rich person and rich bridegroom and doesn't marry. Basically, when arranging marriages, aristocratic family doesn't try to arrange marriage with somebody from a common poor family, it seems. That, of course, many of us also know. Usually we see, are they same like middle class like us, like that, right? So that's what he's describing. Prabhupada is describing. That's a common practice that when they're seeing marriage, they're seeing around the same equal like level like that almost. So that's why young Brahmana did not believe that it will be possible to marry his daughter like that. That's why he asked the elder Brahmana, why are you proposing such unprecedented thing, asambhava thing like that? Like that, he is discussing it seems. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. Now, 23rd verse. Yeah. So Prabhupada focuses on the late this part of the verse. That is, younger Brahmana did service to older Brahmana not to get something from him, not with any such motivation. He did service only to satisfy Krishna. How come? This beautiful purport here also. Essential principle Prabhupada is referring to Srimad Bhagavatam purport from 11th canto 19th chapter. We're getting there in the morning session soon. So basically, he's saying that Krishna says, Mad Bhakta Puja Vyadhika. It is better to render service to my devotee. Krishna is personally saying like that. Basically, Prabhupada explains the point that Krishna is pleased when we serve Vaishnava, number one. Number two, that pure Vaishnavas, they try to do anything services to please Krishna, not for their personal motivation, not to get something out of somebody like that. That's the other point he's making. And then third point, all connected to the same theme, to please Krishna. And the point he's making is that how a pure Vaishnava identifies himself as servant of Krishna, not directly a servant of Krishna. So that's why that attitude of being a servant of Krishna is very pleasing to Krishna, like that Prabhupada writes in the purport. So, yeah, Prabhupada is also quoting Narottam Das Thakur, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Peche Keva. Unless one serves a liberated Vaishnava, he cannot attain liberation by directly serving Krishna. So we need to serve Vaishnavas, spiritual master, and through their mercy, we can serve Krishna also, but not bypass them or jump over them and serve Krishna. That is the point we made here. It's not that we should not pray to Krishna, we should not serve Krishna. That's not the point. Now, 24th verse. Yeah, this is elaborating the point. Lord Krishna is very much pleased by service rendered to Brahmanas. And when the Lord is pleased, what happens? The opulence of one's devotion service increases. That means we can do devotion service nicely when Lord is pleased like that. So the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is quoted in the purport that actually this young Brahmana and old Brahmana talking about marriage, giving marriage to daughter and all that, it's not a mundane dealing. It's a exchanges of love between two Vaishnavas. That's why Krishnadas Rukaraja Goswami is describing. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is listening, Nityananda Prabhu is speaking to him. So it's not an ordinary love affair like that kind of thing. So it's not about Karma Kanda section of Vedas like that he's describing, Prabhupada is describing. And then Prabhupada, you might have noticed this many times in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada compares it with our own practices. He was practicing in ISKCON, the ISKCON practices, and how he was taking care of ISKCON at that time. He compares it to prove it that what they're doing is bona fide, what we are doing in ISKCON is bona fide. He says, sannyasis like him, sometimes he arranges marriage for his disciples, he stays in the marriage for disciples. Somebody may think, what is the use? What is this sannyasis going for marriage like that? Prabhupada is sharing that our main principle and purpose is to help devotees to fix in Krishna consciousness. Sometimes getting married will help them to be in a peaceful mind, stable mind, so that they can be Krishna conscious. That's why Prabhupada was arranging marriages and was taking part in the marriage also. Like that, Prabhupada is confirming here. Then the older Brahmana replied to what? The younger Brahmana hesitating, right? How come you were is not usual? Are you sure? Like that he's saying, right? So he's saying, don't doubt me. I'll give you my daughter in charity. I have already decided this. Is confirming one more time. The younger Brahmana said, actually, I understand that you want to give, but you have a wife and sons, and your large circle of relatives and friends. So without the consent of all your friends and relatives, it's not possible to give me your daughter, even if you want to give in charity. Just consider the story of Queen Rukmini. He is telling that story, where King Vishwamaka wanted to give his daughter in charity to Krishna. He wanted to marry Rukmini to Krishna. But his eldest son Rukmini was against it. So therefore, he could not carry his decision, even though he's the father of the girl like that. He's giving that example to explain him. Prabhupada explains something beautiful in this purport. He is basically saying that in the olden days, this was a common practice, it seems. It's not that the older Brahmana made a mistake by giving the word like that. It's a common practice that father used to announce first with the words that I'm going to give my daughter in marriage to you, your son, like that. Then, when the children grow up, they still keep on that word, and then after several years, they'll marry, it seems like that. That's what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So, of course, Prabhupada also takes this opportunity to discuss the Rukmini pastime also. Many of you might know. That's the other thing he's doing. Whole purport is telling that pastime. Oh, then where is that purport? The purport may be coming up in another couple of verses from now, I think. So it's here in this purport is telling the pastime of Rukmini basically. Okay, 7:31 already. Let us see a couple of minutes, whatever we can do, and we can pause there. So elderly Brahmana said, my daughter is my own property. If I choose to give my property to someone who has the power to stop me, is reassuring him. That is not just saying anything unusual, it will happen like that. And then saying, he will reaffirming again that I'm going to give you my daughter in charity. I will neglect the position of all others. Don't doubt me in this regard. Just accept my proposal like that. The younger Brahmana replied, if you decide to give your younger daughter to me, then say before the Gopal deity. Because Prabhupada writes next verse purport, we'll read the next verse also. Then coming before Gopal deity, the elder Brahmana said, my dear Lord, please witness that I have given my daughter to this boy. He announced like that. So now in the purport, Prabhupada explains what I was saying in the few verses ago, that word is given first and word of honor is kept properly. They don't go back on the word of honor like that. So that is the point, especially if the word is given before the deity, then it's kept also like that. Because nobody lies before the deity. In the olden days, when people had quarrel also, they go before deity and ask them to tell the truth, it seems. Then people will tell the truth like that. That's the point Prabhupada is making. I think we'll pause there. It's already 7:32. We'll continue again next session. Essentially, we heard the beautiful pastime of Sakshi Gopal today so far. And then we also understood the mood of a Vaishnava, how they want to be in the mood of serving another Vaishnavas. And then only to please Krishna, that is the mood, that's the essential mood we heard about today's pastime. And then how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was engaged in chanting and dancing and praying whenever he goes before the deities. And how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's the other thing we heard. And then the two Brahmanas were actually, the hearing about this pastime is not just mundane Katha, it's a Krishna Katha, because the description about two Vaishnavas that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is personally hearing also. So we should not think that it's a mundane affair. And even sannyasis taking care of marriages also with a higher purpose to engage everyone in Krishna consciousness. That is the point being made in this section today. So beautiful section. This whole chapter is there. A lot more verses are there. It's a big chapter actually. So we can continue our next session. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kupasubhya Patanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.